again, this is Dave Banks of Singlebound Studios and Tim Benson of the EAB Publishing Company. This is episode 2 of our video podcast called OmahaBound.
OmahaBound is your video resource to all things comic binding. We'll feature projects throughout the course of our episodes that highlight all of the great things you can do with comic binding. And we're here in Legend Comics and Coffee in Omaha, Nebraska, which is a great comic shop. Features a lot of fun events, and they do a lot of fundraisers to support the community. One of the things they do every year with Free Comic Book Day is partner with Make-A-Wish Foundation and raise thousands of dollars to support that foundation by raffling off amazing comics. This year was Spider-Man #1. Last year was Amazing Fantasy 15, both of which are donated by one of the owners to the cause. So they really do a lot of fun things, and they let us shoot this great podcast.
Our guest today is Travis Fowler, known as Travaz on the Marvel Masterworks binding board. Let's hear what he has to share. You're a modest kind of guy, but I would hope you would open up a little bit and share some of the things, because besides being an early adopter, you're the kind of guy that's worked with multiple binderies, and I kind of want to know how that experience has been. You seem to be fearless about it, but has there been some fears and trepidations as you try to figure out how to work with each different bindery?
It's all an adventure, to be quite honest with you, and it's fun to me to see and just compare, you know, the different products.
Can you kind of speak to a little bit about how you kind of got into the role as an early adopter? It seemed like every time, from my perspective, working at Capitol and Bindery 59 and Snow Dog and Guardian and all those, every time we offered something new, you'd be one of the first people to step up to the plate and want to do it. And I'm like, wow, here's Travis again. And
I have, I think 5 comic shops within a half hour of me. And whenever there is something that can be done, or, you know, a test or a beta test, anything like that, I know whether I either have it, I can go grab 12 to 20 books, 50 cents to $1 a piece, and then just test it. And then based off of the test results, you know, oh, that turned out really good. I can see what I would use this for my own.
One of the things, besides you being an early adopter, is that you've always been the kind of person that seems to be in the quest for the perfect bind. Yes. And you do certain projects over and over, and I think we've done Miracle Man for you a couple times. I know we've done the swimsuit book for you a couple times. I know, you know, Savage Dragon, you're probably on your 2nd or 3rd time you're going to do that. How many times have you done Ant-Man? As you do these things over and over, you end up putting some of these books up on sale on eBay, and they have their own fascinating story. I mean, everybody talks about Miracle Man, how much that sold for, to
Brian K. Vaughan, writer of the current saga.
But at the time he was doing Y the Last Man, which was a great series.
Y the Last Man was either finalized or within an issue or two of finally finishing up. At the time, it was binding Miracle Man. Why would you do that? You're taking expensive comics and you're damaging them, and you're just taking these not priceless books, but these expensive books, and you're throwing them in a bound volume or a bound book. I thought, you know what? I want to read this again, and I want to put it on my shelf. In my mind, I had no regret or no sight of the cost, because to me it was meant to be in a book instead of my short box. I had been dating my now wife, and it was one of those things where, in every man's life, where diamonds are very, very expensive. So putting it up at the time, I never, ever in a million years would have expected the price of it to go as high as it did. Brian K. Vaughan, the writer, bought both of them, bought the Miracle Man and the Warrior, and sent me a message through my email and said, you know, I had found out about this. Good luck, and I hope this helps out.
One of the fascinating things now is the healthy reselling of books that's going on. You see books from all the binderies now for sale.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to sample before you send your own stuff in. It's amazing to me that many of your projects have later on turned into official projects.
The one thing, and this will be a show exclusive, is my very first project with you, the Clone Saga. Had you told me when I bound the Clone Saga years and, 5-6 years ago, that 2 years ago that they would completely reprint it in 13 volumes, I would have told you you're crazy. And the funny thing is, with the exception of a couple, like the Marvel versus DC crossover, they were spot for spot on what had been posted. Even with the Spider-Man team up, to anybody that could be new to binding, the uncollected edition forums are amazing.
Yes.
Don't be scared. Ask questions, because we've all been there. We've all, how to do this, how to do that. There are plenty of people that will help you out, and it's a great community. And I think it's great that you guys are doing this. A podcast. You guys have
Thank you.
Are trailblazing parts that you're in the parts unknown right now. And because of that, it's. I think this will do nothing but help the hobby and help everything.
Yeah, and I think the bottom line is just to share with everybody, because that is what I've been trying to figure out to do next in my quest for the perfect bind, is how can I learn more and yet help other people, and I think this is one of the ways to give back. So thank you so much for agreeing to be our first guest. And
thank you for having me on.
All right, we'll talk to you soon now. Take care.
Thank you.
At this point in the podcast, we're going to hear from Tim about his ongoing Daredevil project. A big, massive, expansive effort where he chronicles his favorite character. And I'd like to know, Tim, how this idea came to you, and what have you been doing about it, and how you've been interacting with different people.
Well, the Daredevil project is my personal book project that will, as Dave said, chronicle the history of Daredevil. It'll feature every appearance, every comic that Daredevil has ever been in, which is quite the challenge, and to us binders, it's just comic book mapping at its best. And really it was born of all of these pieces that I've been working on over the years, but working with local artists to help them get published, something that EAB Publishing does. I was meeting a lot of artists, and I wanted to have them do work or do pieces for me. And what I did was come up with a theme of having them do cover recreations to Daredevil, but also much more fun, not just recreate.
So it's almost like a jam effort. Every time you take an existing cover that we knew was by Frank Miller or Gene Colan, and a local artist or an artist around the country recreates it.
Yeah.
And you know it's that cover, but it's still in their style.
And that's when I meet with artists, I tell them the rule is I have to know that it's Daredevil 111 featuring the Silver Samurai, but I also want to know it's Tim Mayer, the artist. And if you follow those rules, you're in. And I love encyclopedias, and to have an encyclopedia of Daredevil, but featuring amazing artwork throughout, is something that really appeals to me. And so some of the recent pieces I've had done, somebody's working on 100% recreation, David Mazzucchelli's The Gale, which features a lot of architecture. So a lot of new pieces have been done recently. I'll be showing those as I get them on our podcasts.
So future episodes we can look forward to.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to promote it in every way I can. I'd love to have it published or licensed by Marvel so that I can publish it myself and make it available for sale. I've got this next character already picked out, and I'm already thinking about that. I haven't finished the first book yet,
right.
So I'd love to make a series of books and possibly be commissioned to make this. And it's my masterpiece project, and so it's going to be all out, everything I can think of that makes sense.
Sure.
size, be appropriate. But what you would expect from an art book at Borders, you go pick up those books.
That sounds great. We look forward to hearing further information on it. Thanks, Tim. One of the great benefits of helping people bind their comics is that I get to learn new things all the time. And for several years we were asked by various people if we could print as well as bind their projects, and we weren't really set up to do that. Later on I discovered a service called blurb.com. And blurb.com allows you to create a variety of books and do the printing for you also. And so what I did for myself, one of the first projects I did for myself, was a coffee table-sized book showcasing some of my art on cover designs that I've done in the last 5 years. It's big, it's heavy, it's glossy, and it's just, the results were amazing. And the really cool thing about this, in my mind, was that for the price, they did the printing also. Full color printing, front and back, heavy stock. This is a durable book. And I think one of the advantages for somebody like Tim possibly, or others who are working on book projects, is that they could prototype their books through Blurb without committing large print runs until they know whether or not it's a success. And so since this one came out so well, it was my art on cover designs, I did a companion book that was even bigger and heavier and glossier than the previous ones, showing the wraparound cover designs that I had worked on. And this thing literally weighs 8 pounds. And I don't know how I would show. This is a normal comic book dimensions. You can see the size of this. And I tell you what, I'm in love with it. But I recommend that if you have something that you want to prototype that's special, I've used blurb.com. And if you want any free advice or any additional information, email me. I'll be glad to share it with you.
Some upcoming episodes of OmahaBound will cover a series of episodes featuring a masterpiece level binding project, as well as side-by-side comparisons of different binding methods and binderies. We'll also hear about the crazy idea to spiral bind and decide whether giving Kinko's My Comics was a good idea or not.
Also in episode 3, I will talk about choices facing the comic book fan when he decides to bind a project. I'll be using Miracle Man projects as examples, and I will show the choices that range from simple library-style binding to very complex custom efforts.
We'd like to thank you for tuning into OmahaBound, and we want to hear from you too. Add comments to our YouTube page, find us on the Marvel Masterworks forum, and check us out at Singlebound Studios.